I'll let you find your seats. Happy New Year, everybody. We're going to get started. We've got a good meeting ahead of us. How's everybody doing? Good? Holidays went well? Good. Yes and no, I'm gathering. Well, Happy New Year, and it's just so good to be back at our DTC office. This is exciting. You see a full room. Did you guys notice the parking lot looked a little different when you got here? Yeah.
Are they putting in another building?
They're putting in a Chase Bank in that parking lot. So, yeah, found out that our building management doesn't own that lot, and they're putting in a Chase Bank. So they'll be buzzing around here with even more traffic. But you guys still have those lower lots, and the parking garage behind our building too is open for parking for the next meetings that we have at our DTC office as well. So thank you for being here. Thanks for making the trip and spending time with us this morning. We have a lot of great stuff to cover today. But as we do with every meeting, I wanted to introduce you to our sponsors. We've got Dustin Hailey, the Insurance Club, one of my friends and just an insurance specialist. He's so knowledgeable. And then, of course, our friends Amir and Brianna Collette with Amir Razi and Brianna Collette of Own Home Loans. Guys, do you have a preference on who goes first?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll be quick.
Let's welcome Amir Razi and Brianna Collette.
Ellie, is this good?
You're good.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. I am going to be very quick and just kind of give you a couple tidbits about the lending landscape that we expect here in 2026. By far, the most common question I get from agents is what's happening with interest rates. And so that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit. If you guys have been following the news, right now there's quite a bit of political pressure on Jerome Powell, the Fed chair. And regardless of your political stance, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to talk about how it affects rates, because investors that buy bonds that control interest rates are paying very close attention to this. And the sentiment right now for those investors is they are buying bonds on speculation that something might happen, and that is causing rates to go down. Right now, just kind of roughly speaking, for your kind of plain vanilla 30-year fixed interest rate loan, rates are hovering right around 6% to like a par interest rate loan. So that's good for us. Regardless if you think it's right or wrong, it does help our industry. So we can take advantage of it. We are seeing some of this. We saw some of this at the tail end of last year. Going into 2026, and essentially right now the MBA Purchase Index, the MBA is the Mortgage Bankers Association, and they keep track of basically purchase applications, people applying for purchase loans. That has quietly risen to a 3-year high. I don't know if you guys are aware of that or not. If you try to look at the news, if you look at Google News for interest rates, mortgage applications, it can get very confusing because you can find a lot of articles that contradict each other. But I will tell you, because I monitor this stuff very closely, that index right now is pretty high. It's right around where it was in December of 2022. So that is good for you guys. Paul will probably talk about some other factors to keep in mind, like attrition in the real estate industry and other things. But right now, it's a good indicator. So take that as part of your 2026 optimism. If you have any New Year's resolutions, there's a little tidbit for you. And that's really all I want to talk about today. I'm going to keep it simple and quick. But do you guys have any questions? Okay, that's all I have. Oh, there's a flyer announcing a class for bridge loans. A lot of buyers, wanting to sell their house. They've got equity. Maybe they don't have a ton of equity, but there's still things you can do. that trailing primary residence has a lot of options, right? They can rent it, they can pull money out of it to buy something new, how that money is used, whether it counts against their debt ratio, whether they need to get equity to buy the new place. There's so many possibilities. We have some guests from Lensure that are going to be coming in February 10th. It's the day before the sales meeting. They, along with us, will be telling you guys all the things you need to know about bridge loans that are going to apply to you and how to communicate with clients and how to kind of just get your bearings on how it all works, which is a good tool to have in your toolbox as an agent. So it should be a really valuable class.
Thank you, Amir. Great news, that's great. And of course, next on our list, Dustin Hailey.
Well, I will also be quick and not bore everybody with insurance on a whatever day this is. Is it Wednesday? Today's Wednesday. Hello, everybody. I'm Dustin Hailey with Insurance Club. We are an independent insurance agency, which just means we are not beholden. I don't work directly for one insurance carrier. I actually met Paul, 11 years ago. It's been a while. I worked down the street here in this neighborhood at Liberty Mutual Insurance, so that's kind of the other side of that. So I sell through all insurance companies, auto, home, all types of personal insurance, small business insurance through multiple carriers. So yeah, thank you so much for having me today. One topic that Paul had kind of mentioned, but I think kind of hits pretty relevant for me and my industry, and also real estate and mortgage. I work very closely with a lot of mortgage brokers and mortgage lenders, as well, around roof replacement. I'm sure everybody has probably ran into this on some level with some type of deal. I don't have all the answers. I don't have a fix for it. I wish I did, but I do want to give you just a few kind of bullet points around that from an insurance standpoint. And if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to shoot me an email, find me after, call me. Happy to help any way I can. But definitely something that's become more and more common, for sure. So you have somebody trying to buy, and I'm preaching to the choir here a little bit, but somebody's buying a house, the roof is X amount of years old, or it's newer, but the insurance policy that comes through, the one that they either currently have or the one that they're trying to get from me or another insurance agent, has language on the policy that the lender or within the transaction and financing the house doesn't like, around scheduled roof replacement. So everyone generally understands the difference between replacement cost for dwelling, for roof, for personal property, for everything. The house burns to the ground, you're covered at replacement cost, what it would cost to buy those things new, to build the house new, as opposed to a depreciated, or what we call actual cash value basis. What's happened in the last couple years, 3, 4 years, 5 years, wind and hail in our neck of the woods has absolutely wrecked the insurance market. And I sound like a broken record if you talk to any insurance agent out there that knows what they're talking about. That's exactly where we're at. And so insurance companies have basically, they have a few options. They can either raise their rates prohibitively high, make them really expensive. They can make their deductibles prohibitively high where people don't want them. They're doing all of these things. But one of those responses to that with most companies, I can't speak on behalf of every insurance company out there, but every company that I work through and I'm aware of has implemented this scheduled roof sort of protocol or kind of switch at some point of the age of the roof, if that makes sense. So it switches over whether it's 10 years or 12 years or 15 years or 5 years. But even when it's not that old, sometimes it will still say that on there. So that's just kind of the reality of the market. I think the two things I would say to that, one is going to be much more, you're going to have more understanding about how the transaction works and what negotiation looks like in that. But in my experience, when it's possible, I would absolutely encourage your customers to get quotes and talk with their insurance agent well in advance before trying to put an offer in on a house to make sure that roof is actually going to be eligible. Is it going to be covered at replacement cost? And what options do they have around that? Is that going to be a problem, but give themselves enough time to get it figured out if it is going to be an issue? Secondly, I am not super familiar with this yet, and I think it's pretty new to market, but there are a couple companies out there, and I'll put this in an email to Paul that he can share with you as well. But I've started to see there's one company called Sola Insurance, and again, I'll send a link for it. It almost acts more like a home warranty, where they have not done this with customers. I have some colleagues that have. You can basically go buy this separate roof policy, warranty, whatever they're calling it. I don't know who backs them or indemnifies them, but it's a separate standalone policy. You can quote it yourself online. I can do it for customers online, and it's, I'm making up numbers here, but I hear $1,000 to $1,500, something less expensive than a typical home insurance policy, but it would specifically cover the roof up to the value of the roof, if that makes sense. And I hear that lenders are accepting that as well. So if they can do that, if that is an option, they could then double back with their insurance company and increase the wind hail deductible even higher because they have coverage for it here. So it gives you some options and some leverage there. I need to learn more about it. I'm brand new to it, but that is one option as well. So a lot to talk about there. I don't want to bore everyone with insurance mumbo jumbo, but that is kind of where we're at with that. It's not going away. They're not going to remove these roof schedules. That's just a part of the market. It's where we're at. The bigger things could change. The companies might, who knows what's going to happen with it, but this is an issue that everybody is dealing with. And so thank you for letting me share a little bit about that. Any real quick questions for me? If not, feel free to find me after. Yes?
Have you had any luck insuring up in the mountains like Coffer, Green?
The easy answer is no. I say this all the time, and again, any insurance agent will tell you the same thing. There's a policy for every property out there. It just depends on how long it's going to take to get it, how much is it going to cost, where is it going to come from, and how good of a policy is it.
The problem is it's from all states.
Correct. Now there are.
That's the only one for insurance.
Fair enough, and it, gosh, we can kind of live and die by these anecdotes and things we hear. But yes, Allstate and State Farm are the two. I sort of sell through Allstate, but sort of don't. I more don't than do. I will send people and recommend that people will call. If you're buying a place in Conifer, Google State Farm Conifer, call that agency. Surely they have an answer. Surely they have something they can do, and maybe they can't. Call the Allstate person. And if it's ineligible with those two carriers that are the two that come to mind, that would be more lenient right now on that. It would inevitably go to a completely different market, which any insurance agent can quote. It just takes 10 times longer. It costs 3 times as much, and it's not going to be as good of coverage. But there is an option, and I would apply that to the same logic of the roof, the same advice around the roof. I hate saying this in front of real estate agents that are trying to help people find their dream homes or the right property. Is this a house that I could afford to buy if my insurance is going to cost $50,000 a year? So. Well, thank you. Unless anybody else has questions. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Also, I made a rookie mistake and told Dustin and Brianna there were going to be 60 people here today. So please grab a burrito on your way out. Thank you guys. Thanks for your sponsorship. And please, reach out to these sponsors. Anybody you see on a meeting, we don't just give anybody these sponsorship opportunities. These are people we've worked well with, who have put out fires, and they're opening themselves up to questions and anything you need from them, let them know. And also, if you guys have a sponsor that you'd like us to work in, please let us know, because I want to get some new faces in here, and anybody that you love out there will be happy to work with. So, all right, I've got a quote to start things off today. The one and only Bruce Lee. Long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. It might be a little bit of a foreshadow for our theme for 2026, which I'm excited about. Long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. Can anybody relate to that quote? With your phone calls and your note cards and your consistency. All right. New agents. Do we have anybody in the room that has joined Equity and this is your first meeting, I think? Or even if you've been with Equity for a long time and you just want to say hi. I also don't want to put anybody on the spot because I know public speaking is a little stressful. So if you don't want to, but we'd love to just hear from you, say hi, and we do have Equity lapel pins for you. Anybody out there?
Let's see that.
Good job.
I'm really bad. We've been with Equity for years, and this is our first day. I'm sorry.
Round of applause for making
I'm Hailey. I'm Emily.
Kaylee Hepker, Emily Carlis. Whereabouts do you guys work?
Oh man.
All
Pretty
over.
much everywhere, but not downtown because like just drive on a one-way street, it gets crazy. So yeah, pretty much anywhere but there.
I'm also kind of anywhere, but I'm looking for business Littleton. Yeah, girl.
Littleton Pink Fair.
And I'm like the mountains.
Is it conifer?
Yeah, I'm the
285?
booties. I'm the booties agent. If you need something with like a well or land, that's me.
Great. Thank you guys for being here.
Yay!
Thank you.
Anybody else that I might have missed? Everybody else introduce themselves before. All right. Well, I always like to thank you guys for your referrals. If you guys don't know, we offer profit share. So if you refer someone to Equity and they join, you get $100 for every transaction that person closes for as long as you're with the company. We've got people making $9, $10 grand on profit share in our company a year. So I mean that adds up. And we're not pushy. You know us. We've grown by referral, and it's just a nice reminder. If you know anybody, I'm really trying to grow our company with the right people this year. That's the big thing, is to preserve this amazing culture. That starts with you guys. So anybody you know, send them our way. We'll get you some profit share. Tony Goodsell referred Jordan Johnson. Carol Lawrence, she was supposed to be here with Chelsea Pruitt, but Carol's super sick. So Carol, if you're watching, thank you for your referral. And then Julie Abels, she joined us from Coldwell Banker. And she referred Samantha Kelly, who's also from Coldwell Banker, who I think is going to be joining us here soon in the next couple of days. So thank you. And here's some faces. So people who have joined the company within the last month. Really great people who have been joining our company. And I just wanted to show you, we hired about 35 agents in 2025. Really great people joining our company. I'm really proud about it. And with that, I thought I'd also tell you guys how we did last year. I was excited with our numbers. You guys closed 610 transactions in our DTC office, which I think last year we closed around 520 transactions as a company. There's no sugarcoating it. You guys know it's been a trying last couple of years. So the fact that we're on the upward trajectory is pretty exciting. So I wanted to give you guys a hats off. Congratulations on 610 transactions. In the state of Colorado, we just closed just under 1,000 transactions between our other offices as well. So good job. Keep it going. Excited for 2026. And with that, our theme. So for anybody who doesn't know, we do a theme every year. This is something that Todd and Stacy started years ago. We've had mastery, raise the bar. Last year it was resilience, which I thought was fitting for the trying times we've been encountering. Resilience, the skill set to pick ourselves up when we fall down. That is a skill that takes work. And so with these themes, I try to bring something substantial, something outside of real estate, something that will hopefully carry over to our personal lives. Because I'm a big believer in we have to have the meaning. Because if we just look at contracts all day and we study the markets all day, we'll drive ourselves crazy. So to expand on resilience, first I want to give you a little bit of context. It's funny that Amir knew what I was kind of going to talk about. He just stepped out. How many of you actually watch what our industry is doing? Do you guys keep tabs on the Facebook groups and conversations, whether it's market reports, people leaving the business? Do you guys kind of watch that? Good. I think it's good to keep an eye on that, but I also think it's terrible for your mental health. Truly. And I'm not the first to say it. Brian Buffini, all the leaders in our industry, we live in a world where doom and gloom gets clicks, and people get paid from clicks. So you have all these articles being shared. The real estate industry is failing. 240,000 members are leaving the industry. I guess my advice is to pay attention a little bit, but don't let it affect your mental health. Stay strong. And the reason I bring this in as context for our theme, we are expecting 20% less agents in our industry in 2026. But the good news there, a 10% increase in sales, that number actually has increased. They just predicted about a 14% increase in sales for 2026. And the fact that you guys are here, you're showing up, I said this at the meetings last year, keep going because you guys are going to get really, really busy and reap the rewards for sticking around. I'm going to hold off. I'll elaborate on that more. Can you guys relate to this? I saw this in one of the Facebook groups that I follow. Every now and then you get some good stuff from those Facebook groups, those real estate groups. I feel like so many agents are right there. Their head is down, they're plugging away, and I'm talking about that 240,000 nationwide that are leaving the business. Our industry is unique in that there's not many industries where it's 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You hear people say, I'm getting into the real estate business. Or I'm getting out of the real estate business. Maybe I'll come back later. It's like a river that we jump into. But I want to acknowledge the professionalism that's in this room, in our company. You have to give yourselves a pat on the back in these moments when there's all this crazy stuff happening in the world, politically, in our news headlines, and in our industry. I want you guys to be here and be hungry. Don't give up when you're so close to breaking through that wall. And I'm looking around, I can see Trish, I can see Beth, I can see who else, Charlie. I know you've been working on a lot of stuff. Everybody here has. Justin, Dominique, Luz, everybody. I can name you all. Keep going, because this is the year I think you're going to see a true payoff. I think the conditions for 2026 are just right. Talking to Amir and Brianna, we've already got some things happening. Brianna, you and I talked. You're seeing a lot of activity with buyers that have been on the fence, getting approved. Anything else in that category that you'd like to share with the activity you guys have seen?
I've had 2 buyers put in offers this past weekend that were beat out by competing offers. So we're seeing enough activity that there's some competition on properties too.
That's great.
Yeah, it is frustrating, I think, when so many people have these listings that are just sitting around and then you get these competitive offer situations. It's really kind of a wild situation.
Well, my instinct was to say it's great because that's an indicator that people are being serious.
Exactly.
But you're right, there's unfortunate stories mixed in there as well on people who are getting beat out. But I'm hearing from so many of you, my pipeline is packed. I did all these things in 2025, and to be honest, Paul, I was kind of getting burned out and not really seeing the bigger picture. But then there's so many of you who have a really solid pipeline for 2026 because you're focusing on the right things. This is all going to tie into our theme. You'll see how it all comes together here in just a minute. So, our theme for 2026 is built to last. Be the agent that sticks with it. All the effort that you put in today, you can be proud of, so that you're in business a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It's a tough industry in that we're always looking for instant results, right? I did my pop buys, I wrote my note cards, nothing's happening. I'm not seeing an instant result, right? You have to stick with it, and you have to trust the process. So I just want to throw it out. What kind of words come to mind when you hear built to last?
Grit.
Grit, that's a good one.
Longevity.
Longevity. Integrity. Was that you, Beth? Integrity, that's a good one too. Quality. Enduring. Great words. Any others?
Good foundation.
Good foundation. You guys threw out a lot. Here are the words that I wrote down, just top of mind. Purpose, longevity, sustainability, consistency, stability, intentionality, endurance, structure, balance, growth, process, systems, habits. There's so much to this, and I don't want to sound like the cheesy motivational speaker that you see scrolling on Facebook, but I notice a difference in you guys. People in the world right now are just a little bit down, and my job is to pick you guys up and remember why we do all this, what we love about our business. this is the stuff that excites me because it carries over into our personal lives. And so the mini lesson for this meeting, to kick it off, I have an article that I want to read. We've revisited it. It's not new. It's something that we've read before. But it focuses on habits, processes, and systems, which I think is the perfect topic right now as we start the new year, to go back to the basics. Everything is positioning right now where if you just do the basics that we kind of let slide, we're going to pick back up. You're going to see all the right things happen in 2026. Do you guys know James Clear? Atomic Habits? I'm looking at Trish because we read this one at the round table. Shout out to the round tables. You guys have to come to those. They're so good. The round tables are on the first Friday of every month. I'm going to keep them going. I'd love to see you there. But we're going to read this article called Forget About Setting Goals, Focus on This Instead. Follow along, if you will. So James Clear, he is a really great author. He has one of the most successful newsletters. I subscribe to his newsletter, and it's constantly giving me value to just pick me up every day. So definitely subscribe. Let's dive into this. Subscribe to his newsletter. All right, forget about setting goals. Focus on this. We all have things. I feel like a school teacher. I'm going to have to read. We all have things that we want to achieve in our lives. Getting into better shape, building a successful business, raising a wonderful family, writing a best-selling book, winning a championship, and so on. And for most of us, the path to those things starts by setting a specific and actionable goal. At least this is how I approached my life until recently. I would set goals for classes I took, for weights that I wanted to lift in the gym, and for clients I wanted in my business. What I'm starting to realize, however, is that when it comes to actually getting things done and making progress in the areas that are important to you, there's a much better way to do things. It all comes down to the difference between goals and systems. Let me explain. The difference between goals and systems. What's the difference between goals and systems? If you're a coach, your goal is to win a championship. Your system is what your team does at practice each day. If you're a writer, your goal is to write a book. Your system is the writing schedule that you follow each week. If you're a runner, your goal is to run a marathon. Your system is the training schedule for the month. If you're an entrepreneur, underline, asterisk, your goal is to build $1 million business, and your system is your sales and marketing process. Now for the really interesting question. If you completely ignored your goals and focused only on your system, would you still get results? For example, if you were a basketball coach and you ignored your goal to win a championship and focused only on what your team does at practice each day, would you still get results? I think you would. As an example, I just added up the total word count for the articles I've written this year. You can see them all here. In the last 12 months, I've written over 115,000 words. The typical book is about 50,000 to 60,000 words, so I've written enough to fill 2 books this year. All of this is such a surprise because I never set a goal for my writing. I didn't measure my progress in relation to some benchmark. I never set a word count goal for any particular article. I never said I want to write 2 books this year. What I did focus on was writing 1 article every Monday and Thursday, and after sticking to that schedule for 11 months, the result was 115,000 words. I focused on my system and the process of doing the work. In the end, I enjoyed the same, or perhaps better, results. Let's talk about 3 more reasons why you should focus on systems instead of goals. Can you guys relate to this so far? Goals reduce your happiness, your current happiness. When you're working toward a goal, you are essentially saying, I'm not good enough yet, but I will be when I reach my goal. 10 transactions a year, 12 transactions a year, 25 transactions a year. I've heard your guys' goals. The problem with this mindset is that you're teaching yourself to always put happiness and success off until the next milestone is achieved. Once I reach my goal, then I'll be happy. Once I achieve my goal, then I'll be successful. You guys know that's not the case, right? You've all reached a goal in your life. You go, oh, cool, now what? I'm still the same person. Choosing a goal puts a huge burden on your shoulders. Can you imagine if I had made it my goal to write 2 books this year? Just writing that sentence stresses me out. But we do this to ourselves all the time. We place unnecessary stress on ourselves to lose weight or to succeed in business or to write a best-selling novel. Instead, you can keep things simple and reduce stress by focusing on the daily process and sticking to your schedule rather than worrying about the big life-changing goals. When you focus on the practice instead of the performance, you can enjoy the present moment to improve at the same time. You all still with me? I know it's a lot, but I feel like this is worth it. I think everybody needs to hear this right now. 2, goals are strangely at odds with long-term progress. You might think your goal will keep you motivated over the long term, but that's not always true. Aaron and I just had a great conversation about this at the office. Consider someone training for a half marathon. Many people will work hard for months, but as soon as they finish the race, they stop training. Their goal was to finish the half marathon, and now that they have completed it, that goal is no longer there to motivate them. When all of your hard work is focused on a particular goal, what is left to push you forward after you achieve it? This can create a type of yo-yo effect, where people go back and forth from working on a goal to not working on a goal. This type of cycle makes it difficult to build upon your progress for the long term. We're almost through it. Solution: release the need for immediate results. That is so important in our business right now. I was training at the gym last week and I was doing my second to last set of clean and jerks. When I hit that rep, I felt a small twinge in my leg. It wasn't painful or an injury, just a sign of fatigue near the end of my workout. For a minute or two, I thought about doing my final set. Then I reminded myself that I planned to do this for the rest of my life and decided to call it a day. Boom. In a situation like the one above, a goal-based mentality will tell you to finish the workout and reach your goal. After all, if you set a goal and you don't reach it, then you feel like a failure. But with a systems-based mentality, I had no trouble moving on. Systems-based thinking is never about hitting a particular number. It's about sticking to the process and not missing the workouts. Not missing the workouts. A wise mentor, Todd Schuster, told me, never miss 2 days. And that's so applicable to anything, in fitness, in your phone calls, in your note cards. If you miss 1 day, do not miss a second day, because 2 days turns into a week, and a week turns into a month, and then you're just completely off track. I'll move on. Number 3, goals suggest that you can control things that you have no control over. Gosh, we have no control over a lot of things. You can't predict the future. I know, shocking. But every time we set a goal, we try to do it. We try to plan out where we will be and when we will make it there. We try to predict how quickly we can make progress, even though we have no idea what circumstances or situations will arise along the way. Solution: build feedback loops. Each Friday, I spend 15 minutes filling out a small spreadsheet with the most critical metrics for my business. Anybody do that? Okay, good. I like that we're getting into territory where we can work on this stuff. For example, metrics for my business. In one column, I calculate the conversion rate, the percentage of website visitors that join my free email newsletter each week. I rarely think about this number, but checking that column each week provides a feedback loop that tells me if I'm doing things right. When that number drops, I know that I need to send high-quality traffic to my site. Feedback loops are important for building good systems because they allow you to keep track of many different pieces without feeling the pressure to predict what is going to happen with everything. Forget about predicting the future and build a system that can signal when you need to make adjustments. Does that bring any ideas to mind? Feedback loops that you guys could incorporate in your business? I have one. My calendar is looking pretty empty. I better start recruiting. and getting people on my calendar. I better start scheduling coffee meetings with potential clients. I better just make my phone calls and check in. Any other feedback loops that you guys might think of? How many leads did you get at that open house? That's a feedback loop. Where are your leads coming from? You have to track so you can tangibly see, where did that lead come from? I wish Crystal Adams were here because she's been tracking everything right now. And there was a point where she said, I'm so busy, I don't know what happened. I don't know where all these people came from. They just fell into my lap. And it's because Crystal was doing all these things. She was doing open houses. She was doing the Buffini pop-by. She was doing the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we just get so excited about the lead, we don't realize where it came from. But maybe you wanted to close 4 transactions a month. You see that 2 of them came from an open house. Now you know to up your game and do double the open houses to get double the success rate. So, feedback loops are important. All right, we're going to wrap up here. I don't want to drone on. Fall in love with systems. None of this is to say that goals are useless. However, I found that goals are good for planning your progress and systems are good for actually making progress. Goals can provide direction and even push you forward in the short term, but eventually, a well-designed system will always win. Having a system is what matters. Committing to the process is what makes the difference. Aaron and I were just talking about that. Motivation is finite. It stops at some point. You're going to get so fired up to make your calls or whatever it might be, your workouts, but that motivation stops, and that's where your system kicks in to progress you to that next level. So thoughts, takeaways, anything that you guys wanted to shout out that inspire you? What systems are you going to work on?
Well, I'll be a little bit bold on that.
Yeah.
This just follows a lot that we see with Buffini. If we start measuring our goals, we create our spreadsheet, and then we start tracking where we're at. You know, how many leads did we set up or whatever we're working on? We start measuring those things. And I think that's exactly what he's talking about there. Your system is, your goal is one thing, but when I set up goals, I like to look at my goals as SMART. They're measurable and they're specific, and then I can continually watch those things so that I'm constantly seeing that I'm heading towards that goal. Because a lot of times that goal I end up with is not what I started with.
Yeah.
You know that when I started here, my goals changed a lot since I've started here.
Yeah. So,
and it's more of just the focus on my measurements, my contacts.
Yeah.
So I think Buffini has a lot of stuff that matches right along here with James Clear.
I agree 100%. 100%. Well said, Alan. I'll go to Kaylee because she had her hand up.
I started with the 12-week year. It's a book. It's a really good show. I don't know if anybody's read it, but it's very in line with this too. You know, think about your future. What do you envision for your future? But instead of setting goals, how are you going to get to that point? And basically, instead of measuring your goals by the year, kind of look at 12 weeks. Like, what do you want? Where do you want to be at the end of 12 weeks? And how are you going to get there? And then weekly, you're supposed to go back and track what you did. You're supposed to set a time aside weekly to track what you did. Because if you're not actually getting good grades of your progress weekly, you're not going to be where you want to be in 12 weeks. So just coming to the sales meetings is one of my 12-week year guys. So
That's great, and it's so true. When you guys come to the meetings, it just gets you thinking, and it gets you out amongst your colleagues, and it's worth something. That's my goal here, is to find meaning in those little mundane tasks that you think aren't going to make that big of a difference, but I know that they do, because we've been doing this long enough to know that they do. Well said.
Well, just to reinforce systems over goals, I don't remember if it was a podcast or an article I read last week, but the goal is always a moving target. So you say, I want to do 10 deals this year, you get to 10, then what? Then next year it's 20. So the target is never a happy place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the system is what drives the motivation to get to whatever that goal may be that is going to be constantly changing for all of us, I think.
Yeah.
So don't get hung up on a goal as much as the process of getting to it.
Beautifully stated. And we all know what those things are. We just need to be available to our people. We overthink this. just check in with some people. I got a nice call from Justin. I never get calls like this. Hey, Paul, I'm just making my calls. I just want to check in, see how you're doing. Thanks, dude. And then he asked me a really impactful question when we hung up. Paul, I like to ask this question to people when I call them. What can I do for you? I was like, dude, nobody has ever asked me that. A couple people have. I don't want to discredit. We do have very caring people in our office, and they do say that stuff. But that was, you heard it in my voice. Whoa, dang, that's a
I can tell you,
question.
I've caught many people off with that this week.
It's a great question.
And going back to systems, full trail. I mean, I'm putting everything in it. I'm marking it where they're coming from and everything, so I can see where the funnel is.
Yeah. Well, and Justin, since we use that as an example, how do those calls go? Because I feel like the hardest part is to pick up the phone and actually do it. Make excuses. I got to do laundry. I got to take my kids to school. I'm guilty of it too.
Just pick up the phone, say hello. It doesn't have to be a sales call.
It's not
Don't
a
make
sales
it a
call.
sales call.
Don't make it a sales call.
Don't make it about your business. Make it about them. Use forward.
Check
Family.
Check in on your people.
Occupation. Where are you going? What are you doing?
Remove sales entirely. Work from the heart to just check in on your people. Thank you,
Something
Justin.
to that note, me personally, I'm like terrible with pot buys. I'll blame it on my kids because I have a lot of tiny children. But
That's a valid reason, by the way.
I'll blame it on them.
Yeah.
But I have noticed that when I take that, almost like I take the structure away from the caring, it's easier for me, like as opposed to a Popeye, if somebody is sick, if I hear somebody's sick, it doesn't have to be a client or anything, just, bring them a little care package, or, somebody's having a baby, bring them a little gift, and it is more genuine for me at least than a Popeye, and I've been reading this book, Unreasonable Hospitality.
It's a great book.
Yeah, it's a really good book.
We'll get there.
And just like trying to implement those things where it's like, what does this person need without even asking for it?
Yeah.
And that's been better for me because for me, I'm just not good at sending emails or letters or any of that. But I'll text and say, hey, I'm going to be in the neighborhood on a showing. Can I stop by and see what you've been doing in the house? Like, I'd love to see you guys. And then just, bring like a loaf of bread or something and, say hi. So I like what he said, like, don't make it a sales call. It's just connection.
Yeah. Well said.
Intentional.
Well said from one of our top producing agents in 2025.
If I had known that you were going to call that out, I would not have come.
Sorry.
We're so glad you did.
But it's true. It's like a Chinese finger trap. We get into our heads, we're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do for leads? People are going to hate me. I'm a salesy guy. Just call and say, I was just thinking about you. What's going on in your world? That's it. That's what Justin did, and it left an impression on me. Thank you, Justin. That's what so many of you guys are doing. But it's back to the basics. Just stay in that lane, and you will be surprised at what it does for you. So built to last. Put the systems together and focus on the day-to-day activities so you're not burning out. You're not stressing because you're having these really valuable conversations with people who are behind you, supporting you. And that lifts you up and also accomplishes that lead generation aspect as well, filling the pipeline. So focus on the system. Any other thoughts related to our theme or processes, systems? All right, built to last. Got some more good stuff in that territory for our next meeting. And I'm just living this thing too. We're doing 10 sales meetings this year. We're back to every month.
Ooh.
And it's focusing on the content to inspire you guys. And so I'm living the thing too. I'm excited for it. Let's get back to this guy up top. Keep going. Diamonds are right there. All right, guys. Thank you for sticking with me through that. I know it was a long read, but I'm going to skip through the market stats right now. I know you guys are watching the market like hawks. We summarized the big takeaways. Amir mentioned there are good conditions for 2026. So now is the time to get in front of your people because they're going to get busy. You are going to get busy here soon. Switching gears. How many of you have taken the ACU course or a contracts changes class so far? Okay. Definitely take it. I did do about a 50-minute video on contract changes where I go through everything, but I would recommend taking a full contracts class so you get the CE credit and they get through it in more detail. But there were some substantial changes that I needed to tell you guys about just to make sure it's on your radar and to make sure you're practicing correctly. And the two biggest changes today, the listing contracts got a big change with the removal of section 5.3, confidential information and sharing that information with me as your employing broker. And then the seller's property disclosure. There's some nuance to that I just wanted to talk about. Anybody know about 5.3? Have you been following it? Just so I know where we're at.
Yep.
Okay.
Got the new form.
Good. Yep, we got the new form. Yeah, and are you guys reading the weekly updates? Are you guys seeing those?
Yeah.
Good.
The ACU going into 2027, you will not have all the years to do it.
Good point.
You have to do it in the first 6 months.
Yeah, so you can no longer take the annual commission update starting in 2027. You have to take your annual commission update prior to July 1st.
July 1st. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I know. Why are we learning the rules at the very end of the year when they're about to change again? Thank you for that note.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
So this was just a side note. So going forward in 2027, you have to take your annual commission update course prior to July 1st. Because so many agents were taking it in the last quarter of the year. Who would do that? I know.
Can't take it as terrible.
Yeah, they don't want you learning all of the fresh content at the end of the year when it's about to change again. So that's okay. We've all been guilty of that. Okay, so without getting into the weeds too much, the listing contract. This is the biggest change, in my opinion. We had people reaching out about this a month before that. Why'd they take it out? Good question. So this is the section that they have taken out from the exclusive right to sell and the exclusive right to buy. I'm just going to read it. I can't see it. Seller consents to broker, you guys as listing agent, broker's disclosure of seller's confidential information to the supervising broker or designee for the purpose of proper supervision, provided such supervising broker or designee does not further disclose such information without consent of seller or use such information to the detriment of seller. So in other words, you guys know a lot of information about your sellers, their motivations, how much they're willing to accept on an offer. We're going to talk about what confidential information is. You can't share that with me anymore, which that's a big deal. What happens if you have questions and you need to share those circumstances with me so I can guide you, or Greg can guide you on a hotline to best accommodate that situation? This is a big controversy. So what is confidential information? I'll just show you real quick. On the sell side, that a seller or landlord is willing to accept less than the asking price. What motivating factors are for the party selling or leasing the property. That the seller or landlord will agree to financing terms other than those offered. Any material information about the seller or landlord unless disclosure is required by law or failure to disclose. Information would constitute fraud. Any facts or suspicions regarding circumstances that may psychologically impact or stigmatize any real property. We've had that question like 3 times on the hotline this last year. So the point is, my bigger concern, so Dora's worried about conflicts of interest, these rare circumstances that might happen. In one of the examples I gave in my video, we have 2 equity agents working one transaction. So Justin represents the seller, Beth represents the buyer. There's a unique circumstance. Beth calls me, Justin calls me. They both share details about the seller and the buyer. And now I'm stuck with this awkward task where, well, shoot, now I know the whole circumstance and I can't favor one side over the other. That's what they're thinking is the conflict of interest here, is that if you guys share information, it puts me in an awkward position because I can't guide to, fairly. John Goodman has a perfect analogy for this, like cancer, as heavy as that is. Sometimes cancer patients, they know a problem exists, but it's more trouble to go through the treatment and fix it than to just let it live and live your best life. And it's kind of the same. The conflicts of interest, the likelihood of those things happening is very slim. And if they do, Greg and I can team up. Greg, you work with Justin, I'll work with Beth. Don't tell me anything that they tell you, and we'll be okay. You guys following? Is it making sense? I hope I'm explaining it okay.
Yeah, I just have a quick question.
Sure.
Does anybody ever argue back though when they're making these changes? It's so frustrating to go 99.5% of the time us asking you about something is going to be beneficial to our buyer or seller, but they look at the 0.005% of the time that it may be detrimental and make some stupid rule change that comes out every who's arguing for us, Paul? We keep paying money to the NAR to argue these things. We pay money to Smedra to do this on our behalf, and these changes continue to go through, and it's just frustrating to hear them every single year.
I agree. 100%. Well said. And yes, so this is Division of Real Estate, Colorado Real Estate Commission, separate from NARS. The Smedra might be involved in a little bit in that, but yes, they host hearings on this, and the next one is in February, on February 2nd or 3rd, where you guys have the opportunity to attend those calls, and I think you can even provide your feedback, if I'm not mistaken. And I'd say the majority of the industry was in agreement with you. Why the heck are we taking this out when we need, that's the one thing we lean into every day is supervision. We need to have these complex conversations. Why are we removing it? So I was going to save this till the end, but funny of all, everything we've talked about might go away in February because they're meeting about it again, and they might re-add 5.3 back to the listing agreements. And here I am teaching you a new disclosure that's no longer needed. So
I mean, it's in your description. You're the managing broker. You have to be able to manage your people. And
Right.
to do that,
Exactly.
you have to be able to share that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
They went back in the ACU because there was a guy from the forms committee. He went back 10 years ago looking at the contract. You know, it was not the managing broker. The firm is what owns the contract. Okay, and if you go back to when we used to handwrite it, we were not in the contract as an agent. It was just the firm. And so that's why they went to this and they looked at it. So there's a lot. Like, to answer your question, the guy from the forms committee at Smedra, he goes, it's worthless. But why? They did it.
That's Dora for you. That's the DMV for you. That's punk rock buddy here anymore. No. So all this to say, there's new disclosures that the Frascona law firm has created that basically add Section 5.3 back into the listing agreements.
It's a lot more words now.
It's a lot more words. It's a page and a half now. So the big takeaway, though, is that I do want you guys to fill this out with all of your listing agreements, and I'll keep you updated. We'll do another quick recap in February, on February 11th, to see what they voted on, if anything changed. But all it does, I don't even think we really need to read it, unless you guys want to. It basically just says, this is what confidential information is. And client, you authorize me to obtain that information and share it with my employing broker for the purpose of supervision. The main reason I'm taking this seriously is the simple fact I don't even care about the conflicts of interest. It's that you guys call me and share all kinds of stuff with me. And I feel like if there's a savvy client who knows contracts and they say, Justin shared way more than I wanted him to, you're not allowed to do that anymore. That is a problem. So it's just protecting you from all angles, more so just so we can talk about the details of your transactions. If you have a new listing that you signed January 1st, have your client sign it, even if that listing agreement is signed. And if you're creating a new listing agreement, you can reference these new Frascona disclosures in the attachments section of your exclusive right to sell. Section 22, I should know that, down at the bottom.
Well,
yeah.
Will that disclosure be in the, you might be addressing that.
Yeah, CTM. Yes, so we've added it everywhere. It's in .loop, it's in
Resure?
CTM. What's that?
Resure?
Resure, we're still working on. Okay. Yeah, they just take a little bit longer, but they're working on that. And so right below our equity section, you're going to see Frascona informed consent disclosures, buyer, tenant, seller, landlord, because it applies to rentals, which you guys don't do for under equity. But that's where they are. They're smart contracts. Any questions on that? Beth.
So then our email with each other, if I have a signed buyer's agreement, if
from November, do you want me to get a new one first or just do the disclosure?
Great question. Beth said, I have an agency agreement from November, and we've been talking about details. Technically, that exclusive right to buy was signed previously, so 5.3 is in there. They signed off on you sharing information. But the complexity is, it's a good practice anytime there are new contracts that you should fill out the newest contract. So Beth, you can leave it as it is, or you could do an all-new exclusive right to buy and present that disclosure to them. Either one I'd be fine with. Do you have any other thoughts on that, Greg?
I think the seller property disclosure is one that has to be redone though.
Good point. Yeah, separately, which we're going to talk about seller's property disclosure. Thank you. But if it's just with that section 5.3, if it was in your previous listing agreement, you're good. If you signed a new agreement January 1st, we have to do the disclosure. Good to move on? Okay. All right, the seller's property disclosure. There were some changes, nothing crazy, but there's some things that we need to talk about. And the first one is, I'll read it. So the red text that they've added. This is a paragraph from the seller's property disclosure. Seller states that the information contained in this seller's property disclosure is correct to seller's current actual knowledge as of the date signed by seller. Hold on to that for a second. If the contract to buy and sell requires the seller to complete this seller's property disclosure, this form must be fully completed to seller's current actual knowledge as of the date of the seller's property disclosure deadline in the contract. As of the date of the seller's property disclosure and the offer you accept. So in other words, your seller just needs to make sure that if any material facts present themselves, they have to update their seller's property disclosure, and the seller's property disclosure must be current as of the date of the seller's property disclosure deadline in the offer you receive. That's felt like a lot. Did that go through?
So I have a question.
Go for it.
Previously, like years ago, I used to not even have them fill out the property disclosure until we were under contract. But then I feel like something changed, and now I do it initially.
Yeah.
Can we just wait until we go under contract?
Yeah.
I mean, I know some agents want it ahead of time, but
yeah,
it's possible to just wait again.
You can wait. Yep. And you can still do it the other way too. If your seller wants to fill it out and you add it to the supplemental documents in the MLS,
right,
that's okay. Just make sure that if anything changes, your seller is on the line to make sure that everything is up to date from a disclosure perspective as of the seller's property disclosure deadline. There's one more piece we're going to talk about tied to that deadline. But does that answer your question? All good?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, so let's say the deadline, the seller's property disclosure deadline is the 5th. The inspection deadline is like the 10th. We find something out bad on the inspection. Do they have to update that even though it was on the 5th?
Yes.
So yes,
Okay,
just
so
as
do we update the deadline as well?
you don't have to update the deadline since that deadline has already passed. But you should, anytime a new material fact presents itself, you should always update the seller's property disclosure wherever you're at in the transaction. And I'm going to talk about some disclosure best practices in a second here. Great question. Any other questions on that one piece? Okay, I think the only other piece that I do want to read, any changes to the disclosure herein must be disclosed by seller to buyer promptly after discovery. In the event seller discovers a new adverse material fact after completing the seller's property disclosure, there you go, seller must disclose in writing any such new adverse material fact to buyer. So even if you sent an email disclosing that new fact, it's documented. But the easiest way to do it is just fill out a new seller's property disclosure. Yeah.
Sorry, now would we need to get that new seller's property disclosure re-signed by the buyers?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is not in the case of like the buyers are canceling, it's just for everything.
Anytime something new, adverse material fact comes up about the property. Yeah. And that has always been the case. That part, they just made it more upfront with the changes, that telling you guys, you need to change things if anything changes. You need to update that form if anything changes. So my notes, seller property disclosure must be current as of the date of the seller's property disclosure deadline. We already chatted through that. But this is a weird one. If you have a seller that's refusing to complete a seller's property disclosure, then make sure you accept an offer that does not include a seller's property disclosure deadline. Because if there's a seller's property disclosure deadline in there, that seller is now required to provide a seller's property disclosure, which they should be doing anyway. But every now and then you run into those sellers who are adamant about not completing that form. Does that make sense?
Philip, what is your recommendation, Paul? Because we sometimes have clients who are either maybe a landlord or selling for a family member where they never lived in the house. Do you recommend at that point that they do not to protect themselves?
No.
You still think they should fill out a property disclosure
Yes.
even in those instances?
Always. Yeah, great question. That's another change that I didn't talk about, but now there's a new section on that seller's property disclosure that doesn't allow the seller to hide anymore. It's a question, and I'm paraphrasing, but it outlines if the seller lived in the property, they have to check a box, yes or no, they lived in the property. And if they weren't living in the property, they have to disclose whether it was vacant or occupied. So, but yes, I see that all the time. I had an agent who called in, and this landlord didn't live in the property. He didn't want to fill out a seller's property disclosure, but he knows that he just replaced the hot water heater, and he did all these different things, and he fixed it up, and they know more than they think they know.
I'm thinking more of like surviving relatives in an instance where they just never ever had any, they've inherited the house, but they never lived there. They really don't know anything at all about the house. And I've heard some worry of going, hey, I don't want to put something that may get me in trouble later or put to me. So,
great point. The last phrase you said, you'll never get in trouble for putting more information on a seller's property disclosure. So the easiest way to answer that question, if they remotely know any adverse material facts about the property because they heard mom or dad talk about putting in a new furnace or whatever it might be that they know, they should fill them out. But they're not required to. They don't have to. But if a lawsuit happens for a non-disclosure item, the first thing they look at, did the seller provide a seller's property disclosure? And if they didn't, John Goodman says that's Exhibit A in the lawsuit. So, does that help? Cool.
So then, pretty much everybody will redo their seller's property disclosure after inspection.
Yeah, or even I guess.
But it's in writing. You don't have to after the inspection.
Well, that's the second part of my question, because all that comes in through inspection and resolution. But what you're saying is if you don't go through resolution and inspection, you go back on the market.
Then you do.
Automatically.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
that's fine.
But I don't know. I mean, it does specifically
says
say
that as soon as they know, which would mean when
in the
you're still
event
under contract.
Yeah, in the event seller discovers a new adverse material fact after completing the SPD, seller must disclose in writing any such new adverse material fact to buyer. So, yeah, so I was going to say, I mean, we have the inspection report. We've all seen it. The buyer knows. It's there. But more importantly, when you go back on the market, you definitely have to fill out a seller's property.
So the way the ACU said is you do not have to rewrite it as long as the contract's going through. If it goes to expire, then you need to rewrite the SPD. Also on the SPD, the date that's in the contract is the date that has to be signed. You cannot sign the SPD 2 days before, 3 days before. It has to be that date.
See, and I've heard conflicting statements. You can still do a seller's property disclosure early in the listing and add it to the MLS. It would be wise to sign it by the seller's property disclosure deadline. But the verbiage is that the seller's property disclosure is current. That all the disclosures are current as of the date of the seller's property disclosure deadline. That's what's most important.
And that's where they said to make sure it's truly current. If it went to court, sign it the date that it is the date of the contract.
The date of the seller's property disclosure. So to Kaylee's point, wait. Maybe you wait. And you have them fill it out. You get an
17 pages, so don't wait too long.
True, don't wait too long. Yeah, it's not short. It's not
Sure,
short.
seller gets it a couple months.
Yes.
Start looking at
Very
it.
good point. Emily.
Can I ask you one more very specific question? I think this might only apply to me. This is one of the ones I would call great about. Okay.
Yeah.
I have some sellers that close on the 29th. we're going to be doing some after closing septic stuff, okay? Because we're Park County and they take so long that you can't do it.
Yeah.
Anyways, they are paying for all of it, but we just found out from the septic guy that we're gonna need something else done. They've already agreed to pay for it. Do I need to have them do another seller's property disclosure, even though we've already closed?
I don't think so.
Even though we just found out that information?
I mean, that stuff's all documented. The transaction's closed. You can't really
Right.
go. I mean, you could. Why not? We'll say yes just to cover it. But I don't personally see a reason to.
I think you're gonna provide the receipts for the work done to the buyer, right?
Right.
So that'll be all in the receipt, so the disclosure will be on those receipts.
Okay. Even though it's new information that we just found out about that we will be.
I don't think there's any reason not to disclose new information because the buyer owns the house now, right?
Yeah, they don't own it
So-
anymore.
Right. But we don't need to do a.
I'm gonna say no.
Not a new disclosure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good question. All right, we'll wrap it up here. But a question. This is another piece that I wanted to talk about related to the seller's property disclosure. A seller discovers mold in their home years ago, but had it professionally remediated and retested. There are no signs of mold currently. Does this need to be disclosed on the seller's property disclosure? Yes. Sure. Are you sure?
Yes.
Yeah. Positive?
Yeah.
Good job, guys. Yes, and the big thing, ever existing. So the seller's property disclosure is asking the seller to provide facts about any items that ever existed. And then there's a section about items that currently exist as well. That question comes up a couple times per month, though. You, as the listing agent, are also required to disclose adverse material fact. You guys probably already know that, but we actually had some unique calls. An agent called in with some stuff. She lives in that neighborhood. She knows a lot about that property and those neighbors. She's roped into that disclosure requirement too. Disclose, disclose, disclose. If you know anything, you're just as on the line as the seller. Best practice. A wise person once said, there has never been a lawsuit for providing too much information on a seller's property disclosure. Lawsuits arise when a seller does not provide enough information on a seller's property disclosure. I feel like I say that to you guys every time you call.
Yeah.
With that question. Disclose, disclose, disclose. All right. Any other questions on seller's property disclosure? Forms, anything from the ACU that you guys have questions on? Or okay. On that same note, I'm still working on getting our ACU course, but it's a pain. I did not realize how much of a pain it is to get that course certified so I can teach it to you guys. So I won't be able to get one in time. I could probably have it done maybe by the end of the year, but I'd much rather you guys just take that course now through Smedra or an online provider, and then call with any questions, because they said it probably 20 times throughout that class. Talk to your managing broker. Ask your managing broker. So if you hear anything in the ACU that you have questions on, call me. We can chat through it. So, all right, guys. Company announcements. I'm going to hit it face on. I know, it's never fun to talk about fee increases. Did you guys all see my email? Okay. I just want you to know that Tony Ketterling, our CEO, wanted to push January 1st, but I said, no, let me get my guys in a room so I can have a heartfelt conversation with you. It's not fun to raise fees, I get that. But I just wanted to address it and make sure everybody knows. We are increasing our transaction fee from $5.99 to $7.99. And it all comes down to operational costs. The cost of our lease, the cost of errors and omissions insurance. Oh my gosh, if you guys knew how much that costs. It's just cost of running a business. So that said, I had a feeling that this was coming based on conversations with our CEO, Tony. And that's why we're stepping up. That's why I'm doing 10 sales meetings a year. So when we raise our fees, I want you guys to know that, okay, now we got to step up our game. They're going to be paying extra money on these deals. And so we're working on some really cool things, potentially a new CRM down the pipeline. And I'm just going to step it up to bring you guys more value. How do we feel? Do we want to talk or do we just
What's the second note there?
I heard a question. Sorry, Rick.
What's the second note there? 15K
cap.
Yeah, so that should say $15,000 cap.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah, sorry about that. So we've always had a $15,000 cap, and that's one silver lining is you used to cap at 25 transactions. So $599 times 25 deals is $15,000. Now it only takes 19 transactions to cap. So after you hit your 19th transaction, the transaction fee goes away. And then $599 is still honored on transactions that were under contract prior to February 1st. So we'll still push those through. All right, guys. Some other quick announcements, and then we'll open it up as a Q&A. Mentioned that one. No ACU course provided by Equity. New interactive contract is on its way. That thing, we just did it in August of last year. No. So I'm working on that. Hopefully by end of January, early February, we'll be back on Elevate. And then Allie and I have been working hard on some cool things, and we're doing a major update to our how-tos documents. So just a facelift, some brand new checklists, and just updated info. I'm really excited to share that. Same thing. We'll probably talk about that in February at our next sales meeting. Oh, Ray.
What are most people using? Is it CTM or pretty sure whatever it's called?
Yeah, most people are using CTM still, but Resure is pretty cool.
Resure is very cool.
Yeah, Kristen.
If you haven't used it,
Todd.
It's very
yep.
dot loopy in the feel, and it's way more user friendly, I think, than CTM.
I'm gonna have them speak at one of our sales meetings because if you guys are Smedra members, which it's still optional right now, but if you join Smedra, you get Resure for free, and that saves you all of your monthly costs for CTM.
And then it's only $20 a month after the first year. And if you're a Smedra member, it's free for a year, and then it's only $20 a month, so it's cheaper too.
So think about it. It's a learning curve. You have to learn. There are some pitfalls, but they're improving constantly. But CTM is still the number one.
Are there any imports going from CTM to?
Yes.
Still have to upload some stuff manually. So the man that
So
helped
past
design
contract,
CTM also helped design Resure. So it's the same guy on both sides. But right now we still have to, if somebody's working in CTM and they send you something, you have to upload it manually into Resure. But it has a really nice signature tracking component to it where it's got like a red light, green light, or red light, or yellow light, green light system where you can see everything that's been signed and who signed it and when, and what is still outstanding. So it's a really easy way to go into a transaction dashboard and see a quick snapshot of where your whole transaction is.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
It's cool. It takes a little while to get the bearings on it, but it's nice.
It's really nice.
I like
and
it.
it's pretty easy to get to download from there. So.
And all of our forms are in it now.
Yes.
Because of Todd and Kristen.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you guys for using it. Greg, you got a question?
Just as far as old forms, could they be downloaded and ported as far as there's a lot of data in CTM?
I believe so.
A lot of archived files and so forth.
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know it well enough, but I think you can create a file and just upload documents versus starting from scratch and pulling all that info on a new deal. So, you'll hear from them though. Maybe we'll get them in March because we've got February already planned. Last couple announcements, Buffini event. So I'm loving what Buffini's putting out. It's probably some of the best stuff he's ever put out so far. He's got the next event, Best Year. That's on January 22nd. It's free to everybody. It's kind of a mini coaching session where he gives you good takeaways, kind of in line with everything we talked about, systems, habits, consistency. We did a live watch party for the last one. It was fun. We had 8 agents came into the office and watched it, so I'm going to do it again. I just decided that, Allie. I need to tell you about that. But we're doing it. So Thursday, January 22nd, 10 a.m. to 12, if you want to just come in and we'll watch it in the conference room.
Is there going to be a recording?
Yeah. So the other note there, register for the webinar separately if you want all the recap info.
Okay.
And you can just Google it. It'll pop right up. We'll send out links where you can register.
Cool.
Yeah. But we don't have control over that recording, unfortunately.
So it's not live on Zoom?
It is.
Okay.
So it's like the last one where...
So you can watch it at home?
Yeah, you can watch it at home too. Yeah. No problem. Okay, and then I just wanted to plug, I'm trying to coordinate our sales meetings. I want to put this on the screen so you guys have all the dates. But we're looking at our sales meetings in quarters. So you guys know the topics well in advance so you can make sure to attend the ones that are important to you. I'm following Brian Buffini's, I forget the name, the Dooley curve, where he talks about the times where homes are listed. Most commonly throughout the year and when you should be doing lead generation to account for that curve. We're doing the same thing with our sales meetings. So we're talking about contracts today, and next month we're doing a lead generation workshop. So do you guys remember the quarterly workshop we did 2 years ago where we had a workbook? It was really extensive, where we talked about working by referral and these things that you can incorporate in your business. We're going to do that again. We're going to revisit that, and I've updated all of it. So that's going to be a big one. It's going to be here. I'll have extra seats. And if we start outgrowing this room again, we'll go back to Smedra if we have to. But I'd love to see you for the lead gen workshop, and I think it's what you guys will want and need. All right, lots of talking. I'll turn it over to you guys. Do you guys have any general questions or anything you want to talk about? Transaction questions? Joyce.
All about confidential information when you get to go out of town. Someone is covering for you, and you actually might want to be off for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
And you want to share confidential information with the person who's covering for you, the other equity agent who's covering for you. What can you share? What can you not share? I haven't looked at the disclosure yet. I'll give it to a client later today, but
yeah.
What?
So the quick answer to that is if whoever's covering you is going to be negotiating and talking about confidential information and all that, we'll go back to the slide that what counts as confidential information. They need to be added to that listing agreement because otherwise they don't have the authority to talk about any of that stuff. So great question. But do we want to actually review what confidential information is? So this is the list from the Colorado Real Estate Commission for sellers and buyers. I don't know if you can read that. But we reviewed the sell side, but basically motivations. A buyer or tenant is willing to pay more than the purchase price or lease rate for the property. What the motivating factors are for the party buying or leasing the property. That the buyer or tenant will agree to financing terms other than those offered. Any material information about the buyer, that's the big one. I mean, that's material information about the buyer. That can be a huge list. Any facts or suspicions regarding circumstances that would psychologically impact or stigmatize any real property pursuant to section 38 to 35. So it's kind of a broad subject.
So if it's for a week and only a week, for example, and then after that, I mean, you could do an amendment to put them on, an amendment to take them off.
Yep, that's what I would recommend. Yep. Good question. Any other questions? Just general questions?
I mean, can I question?
Yeah.
Piggybacking off that. What? This I might be dumb, but
no,
it's just like, can we just make an amendment to take them on and then take them off? Can you make an amendment for that week or however that time is, so you're not amending everything? You're like, you know, Paul's gonna babysit my clients. You know, add it to the listing agreement.
That might be an easier way to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Have it expire on a certain date.
Okay, cool.
Then you don't have to do anything.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Good question.
Cool.
Anything else you guys want to talk about? I'll let you guys think. Just kidding.
I have a gossipy question.
Oh, hit me with it.
It's a question. I'm not spreading gossip. I'm gossiping.
I might have to neutralize because this is a no gossip zone.
Oh.
Just kidding.
Did we ever find out why Kevin O'Leary canceled last
No. That's a great question. I haven't. Did anybody else hear? Yeah, I don't know.
That was, it was a big disappointment.
I know. I was kind of
Not that
surprised.
the other guy was not good, but
Yeah, I even Googled it at home, like reasons why Kevin Leary might not have been on, but nothing came up. So I don't know. But funny enough, we're going to corporate at the end of the month, and Kevin Buffini, Brian's brother, is doing a 2 or 3 hour session with us. I'll ask him. See what I can squeeze out of it. Hey, so what's with that Kevin O'Leary guy?
please use that face. Well, he was in a movie, and we thought maybe he was doing a premiere somewhere, like last minute premiere. I forget what the movie was.
Yeah, with Timothy Chalamet. I forget.
Yeah, the ping pong with a ping pong machine.
That's right.
So yeah, maybe it's related to that.
World may never know. I'll see what I can find out.
Slide at the next meeting.
What's that?
We're expecting a slide
Okay.
on that.
Deal. That's cool. Well, anything else you guys want to chat about or questions? Things you're seeing out there? Okay. Let me go back to my slide. Come on, let's go. Let's go. I think that was everything that I wanted to talk about. Oh my gosh, this is going slow. Cool. Okay, so yeah, in conclusion, we're going to do Power Pros here in a second, but good job. The fact that you guys are here, I just love seeing you at these. You energize me, and I'm really excited for what's in store for 2026. So keep
Can
going.
we talk about a new listing or an existing listing?
Yeah, let's do that. First, let's acknowledge our Power Pros, because some of them are here today. And so real quick, we took our November Power Pros out to lunch. In November, we didn't, December, we didn't have our sales meeting because of the holiday party. So there are our November Power Professionals. And Najud, hey, I didn't see you walk in. Good to see you, Najud. And then our December Power Pros, maybe it's thinking about it. Good list. You guys have probably heard the market is going back to kind of where it was in 2019. So I just started researching, like, what were we doing at our sales meetings in 2019? What did our Power Pros look like? Very similar numbers. See you again, Dallas. Have a great day. Very similar numbers to 2019. 10 to 12 Power Pros. Transaction count was the same, so that was kind of comforting to know. Now is the time to do the right things because it's going to get busy. So diving in. So our Power Pros, if you want to stay up here, I'd love to just grab a picture of everybody at the front of the room. Beth Goddard, 2 transactions. Pictures too in a second. Congratulations,
Thank
Beth.
you.
Yeah, 2 deals, 2 unique deals.
Yeah, stressful deal.
And then, and Beth, if you want to stay up here, if you don't mind. I'm sorry to be that guy. Mr. Allen. Allen, is it Hanash? Hanish.
Like Spanish.
Spanish, Hanish. Good job, Allen. 2 transactions and a first-time Power Pro. Yeah. And Kathy Harder, she couldn't make it. Mark Matson, another first-time Power Pro. Really cool deal that he put together. I'm happy about this one. Liliana Parra, 2 transactions. Good job, Lily. Congratulations, Lily.
I think they were going to.
And then Najud Hogue, 2 transactions. Way to go, Najud.
How are you?
Yeah. Ryan Penn, not here today, but another first-time Power Pro. Tamila Aspen has a consultation with a client in Colorado Springs. Shout out to Tamila. 3 deals in December. Yeah. Woo. And then Caitlin Tran, a recurring Power Pro. 3 deals in December. Congratulations to Caitlin. Not here today. Bill Owen, 3 deals. He sold a house like two houses away from my house. It's fun to see that listing sign go up. But 3 deals to Bill Owen. Good job, Bill. And then last but not least, with 4 transactions, achieving our most transactions closed award and our top sales agent award with a sales volume of 2.5 million in December, Emily Carlis. Congratulations, Emily.
We have to move back to one of these.
This is what happens. Congratulations. Good job. And if we could just grab a picture real quick.
Hey, Paul, can you make me flip on?
Yeah, let me turn this pesky monitor off.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
There we go. Does that work?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Alan, you might have to go in the middle there. What are you going to do? All right. Power Pros on 3.
Thank you.
Good job. All right, guys. Now we'll open it up. Ray, if you have any listings or buyer needs you guys want to share?
I have one. It's in Breckenridge. It's half an acre of land.
Can I pause you for a sec?
Sure.
I've heard from 2 or 3 agents, I don't know anybody anymore. I don't know who comes to these meetings anymore. So could you just say your name, phone number, And then your listing details
Ray.
before or at the end. Thanks. Ray.
My name is Ray Cruz Solana. My number is 720-394-7067, and I have a half an acre of land in Breckenridge for sale. I had it listed with a broker there in Breckenridge, and it's just a slow market, so I just pulled it off. But I want people to know that it's still available. So.
Any improvements?
There's been, I've got a well permit and a WPS on-site waste treatment center approved, and everything's good to go, but that's not it. There's been some clearing of the land for $225.
Is there electric near?
Yes. And it's also not in an HOA, which is great, and CR50 is right there, so you have the county plowing and all that other stuff. So, but yeah, yeah, it's been out there for a while.
Towards Hoosier Pass, or where is it?
Hoosier Pass.
Yeah. How far away?
Oh, it's probably down the hill, close to Blue River.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's all I have right now. But I wanted to talk to you about that because you're up in that area, right?
Yeah. I actually have somebody running. They're looking for a little bit more than that, but that area. So if it's a nice, piece of land, is it like pretty usable?
Yes.
Yeah. Because
Well, I
we've
actually
been
had
running
specs
into
on
that.
where I was going to build,
Oh.
and then I decided just to buy something that's
It's really
such a pain in the butt.
And
tiny.
Any other listings? Any other listings out there you guys want to share?
I've got a couple that have been on the market for a little while. One in backcountry that's we just reduced the price $50,000 to $1,250,000. It's a great house. It's a little bit dated, but if it wasn't dated, if it was like one of the newer versions there, it'd probably be 1.5. So I think it's now priced in line. It's at 10426 Will Wisp Way. Say that 10 times, George. It's a, like I said, great property. Original owners from 2007, and so check with me if you want an open house opportunity potentially. The open houses in the past, in the fall, or I'm sure I shouldn't say that in November weren't that busy, but could pick up now as well. But, yeah. Condo listing in Southeast Denver. We just dropped it $20,000 to $279,000. That one is in Quincy Park at 7420 East Quincy, and it's a great unit. If someone's looking for a rental, there is available. Someone could rent it. It's a lock and leave type place with underground parking, elevator access for someone that needs that as well. So it's a really good buy. I think it's priced right now. So yeah. Finally, they're dropping their prices.
Nice. Yeah. They figured it out.
7420 East Quincy Avenue, unit 304.
What's your name again?
Oh, Greg. Gregson.
We all know Greg Tiffin.
720-635-6066.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. Sure. Lily.
Lily. I actually have a property coming on the market really at the end of February, beginning of March. We actually took it out of the market last year just because it's between 1.750 and 1.8. It's a 6-bedroom, 5-bath. It's a new build. It's a 2-year. The issue that we've been having with that property is it's on Parker, border of Elizabeth and Parker. 6 acres, 6.5 acres. Is that everything around it is commercial. There's only 2 neighbors. This house and another neighbor. They actually they get a bunch of stuff to the exterior. They put a gate and they fence it out. So I think that's gonna help some of it. But there's definitely, next door there's a shop that has 600 cars, and it's been a fight for the owner because when she purchased the land and built, the understanding is that that area was going to be fenced. They haven't done it, and they actually moving to Lakewood. They have a son that's going to go to CU, and so they're purchasing a property that is closer to his kid's school. The property, guys, the basement has one of those separations that it has they call it a shop. That's how it was built. It's a 1-bedroom studio that is one of those invisible doors. It's like a regular basement that has another bedroom and a whole play area, but there's an invisible door that you open or you close, and there's like a different people that has maybe a therapist or whatever that wants to have like his own office, or you can even rent it. That would be kind of different thing.
So is it zoned commercial as well?
No, it's not. And this is kind of what happened, guys. When the seller, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 lots. The only one that was actually commercial was the front. And that one is they're selling it right now for like 1 point, that just the lot itself, because the guy actually has a construction, like not a remodeling. He builds tiny homes. So that's kind of the front. The problem that it is like it's the entrance, and in the entrance, this is all, it's a shop. And that's where they have all those cars. The person that actually purchased the land is my sister. When she purchased it, it wasn't as bad as it is right now. And they were told when we purchased that by the seller and she's been going through all the meetings, and they were saying that it was gonna happen. The other 2 people that bought the lots, they bought the lots thinking that they could turn it commercial. They couldn't do it because that was the stipulation. The only one that was gonna be the one facing the actual street. But that has been the issue. The house is beautiful, it's modern, it's not mountain looking. We actually, for the market that we had last year in August, we had probably within 3 months, we had over 18 showings. So it wasn't a problem of having traffic, and the feedback was amazing. Even people were saying, hey, if it wasn't a different location, no problem. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm encountering. But we're gonna, the interests are keep dropping. Our goal is to actually put it up in the market by latest March. But that's kind of the scenario I'm having. So if you have a client and the cool part about it too is that they can build like a shop or anything next to it, a building, and that's kind of what my brother was thinking because he owns a body shop. So he was thinking of maybe just making the addition already was there, but the sun moving, that kind of changed the whole thing to that. So if you have somebody in mind that wants a beautiful home, and even if you can have a separate income and maybe want to build something to actually construction people, anybody that wants to build a separate area for it, they won't have a problem with the traffic going in and out because that's the end of the road.
Do you think that part of the reason, like part of the problem is that the house faces that stuff and the entrance is right there?
That is correct.
Pulling in?
And actually, to be honest with you, they actually just put an actual, like one of those automatic gates and they fence it all in. So honestly, guys, it helped. Like right now, if you're sitting in the house, you're not watching that. They just spent about $125,000 a day. That's it.
Kind of a weird scenario, but have they thought about maybe contacting the county or the city and trying to
all of it. So it's been, and it's like I'm saying, I don't think in my circumstance what we were told when they bought the land. And it's you'll be able to see it. It's if you guys are familiar with the Parker area, it's actually there's only one gas station when you're going into the Elizabeth area coming from I keep forgetting the name of the street. Delver Road, thank you. If you come into Delver Road, there's only gas station, piece of property in front of you. You won't be able to miss it. It's like at night that it looks like a UFO. It's so
All right, guys.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. They and that's true. That is a whole problem.
Well, thanks for being here, guys. Yeah. Have a great week. We'll see you.